You were raised on a lie. A comfortable, socially acceptable lie that kept you playing a game you were designed to lose. The lie was simple. Honesty is the best policy. Work hard, be transparent, tell the truth, and prosperity will follow. You believed it. You played by the rules, and now you're wondering why the people who didn't, those who concealed, adapted, strategized in silence, are the ones with wealth, while you're still trading time for money. Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power contains a doctrine that will dismantle everything you were taught about honesty and success. Law 12 states it coldly. One sincere and honest move will cover over dozens of dishonest ones. Read that again. The wealthy don't practice total honesty. They practice selective honesty, strategic transparency that opens holes in your armor, then exploits what they find. And while you've been broadcasting every move because honesty is virtuous, they've been playing chess on a board you didn't know existed. This is not a moral argument. This is a pattern recognition. By the end of this transmission, you'll understand why your commitment to total honesty has been the single greatest obstacle between you and wealth. Not your work ethic, not your intelligence, your honesty. Chapter 1. The poker table you didn't know you were sitting at. Let's establish the foundation. Greene's Law 3 is unambiguous. Keep people off balance and in the dark by never revealing the purpose behind your actions. This is the first rule of wealth accumulation, and you've been violating it every day of your life. You announce your plans. You tell your employer what you're worth. You share your business ideas with friends. You post your goals publicly because you've been conditioned to believe that transparency builds trust. And it does. Trust that you can be outmaneuvered. Wealth is not a meritocracy. It's a strategic game. When you sit at a poker table and show everyone your cards, you don't lose because you have bad cards. You lose because you eliminated the only advantage that matters in a game of incomplete information: concealment. Your competitors, your employer, your collaborators, they all benefit from your transparency. They know your next move. They know your limits. They know your breaking point. You've handed them the playbook. Greene gives you the counter-doctrine. Guide them far enough down the wrong path, envelop them in enough smoke, and by the time they realize your intentions, it will be too late. The wealthy don't tell you they're negotiating with 3 other companies. They don't announce they're building an exit strategy. They don't broadcast their leverage. They keep you off balance. And while you're wondering what they're thinking, they're already executing. Here's the brutal question. When was the last time someone with real wealth told you their actual financial strategy? They didn't. Because the moment they do, you can replicate it, block it, or negotiate against it. Opacity is not dishonesty, it's strategic intelligence, and you've been taught to give it away for free. Chapter 2. The Selective Honesty Weapon. Now we drill deeper. Law 12 reveals the mechanism. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Notice the word Greene uses, victim, because if you don't understand this law, that's what you are. Here's how it works. A strategic player doesn't lie constantly. That's exhausting and unsustainable. Instead, they deploy honesty as a weapon. They give you one sincere, open-hearted gesture. They share a vulnerability. They help you with something meaningful. And what happens? Greene's observation: Open-hearted gestures of honesty and generosity bring down the guard of even the most suspicious people. You drop your defenses. You think, finally, someone I can trust. And that's when Law 12 activates. Once your selective honesty opens a hole in their armor, you can deceive and manipulate them at will. This is not theory. This is a documented pattern in business, politics, relationships, and wealth accumulation. The difference between you and them is this: you practice total honesty because you think it's a virtue. They practice selective honesty because they know it's a tool. You tell the truth reflexively. They tell the truth strategically when it serves their larger agenda. And because you've been conditioned to see honesty as binary, you're either honest or you're not, you can't even perceive the game being played on you.
Let me ask you directly. When you negotiated your last salary, did you tell them your walkaway number? When you pitched your last idea, did you reveal your backup plan? When you partnered with someone, did you disclose all your leverage? If you answered yes to any of these, you used total honesty in a game that rewards strategic opacity. And you lost before the negotiation even started.
Chapter 3. The shape they can target. Greene's Law 48 is where this entire framework crystallizes. Assume formlessness. And here's why this law destroys the always be honest doctrine. When you are predictably honest, you take a visible shape. You become a known quantity. And Greene's warning is surgical. By taking a shape, by having a visible plan, you open yourself to attack. Instead of taking a form for your enemy to grasp, keep yourself adaptable and on the move. Think about what you've revealed. Your employer knows your financial needs. You told them during the hiring process. Your competitors know your strategy. You shared it because collaboration builds community. Your industry knows your boundaries. You announced them because setting boundaries is healthy. All true. All irrelevant, because while you were being honest about your shape, they were studying that shape to engineer around it. Let me give you the contrast. The honest employee tells their boss, "I need this salary to cover my expenses." The strategic employee says nothing about need. They negotiate from value, scarcity, and market leverage. The boss can't target what they can't see. The honest entrepreneur announces their product launch 6 months in advance. The strategic entrepreneur builds in silence, launches fast, and adjusts based on reaction. Competitors can't prepare for what they don't know exists. Greene's doctrine is elemental. Be as fluid and formless as water. Never bet on stability or lasting order. Everything changes. When you commit to total honesty, you commit to a fixed form in a reality that rewards fluidity. You become the rock in the river while wealth flows around you towards those who adapt, conceal, and reposition without broadcasting their moves.
Chapter 4. The honest salary versus the strategic wealth. Let's map this to the actual mechanism of wealth. 2 paths, same starting point, radically different outcomes. Path 1, the honest worker. They show up on time. They do good work. When asked what they're worth, they answer honestly, based on their expenses and what feels fair. When their boss asks if they're job hunting, they say no, because they're not, and honesty compels truth. When a recruiter calls, they disclose their current salary because it's just a number. They work transparently, report all income, and when they want a raise, they ask based on tenure and effort. This person will stay middle class, not because they're lazy, because they're strategically transparent in a game that punishes transparency. Path 2, the strategic player. They show up, do good work, but when asked what they're worth, they research market rates, create artificial scarcity around their skill set, and name a figure based on value, not need. When their boss asks if they're looking, they stay formless. I'm always open to the right opportunity. When a recruiter calls, they conceal their current salary and negotiate from leverage. They build wealth invisibly, side income, investments, alternative ventures, and reveal success only when it serves negotiation. This person builds wealth, not because they're smarter, because they understand Greene's doctrine. Strategic opacity creates leverage, and leverage creates wealth. Now ask yourself, which path were you taught? You were taught path 1. And then you wonder why path 2 people have what you don't. It's not a mystery, it's a design. Chapter 5. Why they taught you total honesty. Here's the question most people never ask. Who benefits when you are 100% honest 100% of the time? Your employer benefits. They know your salary expectations, your desperation level, your outside offers. They can lowball you with precision. Your competitors benefit. They know your strategy, your margins, your next move. They can outmaneuver you before you execute. The system benefits. You're predictable, manageable, exploitable. You don't conceal leverage, so you never accumulate it. Greene's framework exposes the metagame. The rulebook you were given, be transparent, be fair, be honest, was not written to help you win. It was written by people who already have power to ensure you don't acquire it. Total honesty is not a universal virtue, it's a control mechanism. Think about every institution that demanded your honesty, schools that tracked your every metric, employers who required open communication, systems that demand disclosure at every level. Did any of them reciprocate? Did your school tell you the real cost-benefit of that degree? Did your employer disclose how much profit they make off your labor? Did the system reveal how wealth actually accumulates? No. Because the game has always been asymmetric. They demand your transparency while concealing theirs. And the moment you start playing by their actual rules instead of the ones they told you to follow, they call you dishonest. Not because you're lying, because you stopped volunteering to lose.
Chapter 6. From transparent to strategic. The shift is simpler than you think. You don't have to become a liar. You have to become strategic. Law 12. Selective honesty. Be honest when it builds trust that serves your larger goals. Withhold honesty when it gives away leverage. You don't owe everyone your full transparency. You owe yourself the strategic advantage of knowing when to reveal and when to conceal. Law 3. Conceal your intentions. Stop announcing your plans. Stop sharing your goals publicly. Stop telling people what you're building until it's built. The poker player doesn't show their hand mid-game. Neither should you. Law 48. Assume formlessness. When someone asks what you want, what you're planning, what your limits are, stay fluid. I'm exploring options. It depends on the opportunity. I'm open to the right situation. Give them nothing to target. No fixed salary demand, no rigid timeline, no visible plan they can engineer around. This is the threshold. On one side, total honesty, which you were told is virtuous and safe. On the other side, strategic honesty, which the wealthy practice quietly while telling you to stay transparent. One side leads to being a reliable, exploitable resource. The other leads to being a player with leverage, negotiating power, and wealth. You've been at the poker table this whole time. You just didn't know you were allowed to keep your cards hidden. Now you do. Conclusion: the game has rules. Learn them or lose. You walked into this video believing honesty was a moral absolute. And in personal relationships, in your private code of ethics, maybe it is. But in the game of wealth accumulation, honesty is a tool. And the people who wield it strategically, who know when to reveal and when to conceal, are the ones building empires while you're wondering why hard work isn't enough. Robert Greene didn't invent these laws, he documented them. Law 3, conceal your intentions. Law 12, use selective honesty to disarm and position. Law 48, stay formless and adaptive. These aren't suggestions. These are the operating principles of every person who has ever accumulated significant wealth without inheritance. And here's the final truth they don't want you to understand. The moment you stop volunteering information, stop broadcasting your plans, stop being predictably transparent, you become dangerous. Not because you're dishonest, because you're no longer manageable. The system needs you honest, open, easy to read. It needs you to share your ideas so they can be stolen. It needs you to announce your boundaries so they can be tested and exploited. Your total honesty is their insurance policy that you'll stay exactly where you are. But you're not there anymore. You've seen the poker table, you've learned the laws, and you understand that the choice was never between honesty and dishonesty. It was between strategic intelligence and strategic stupidity. Between being a resource and being a player. Between staying broke because you were good and building wealth because you were smart. If you're ready to stop being the honest, predictable, exploitable person in every negotiation and start being the formless, strategic player who holds leverage, subscribe. This is not motivational content. This is the rulebook for a game you've been playing blind. And remember, one sincere move covers dozens of others. Make them believe you're still playing by the old rules, then execute with the new ones. Stay formless, stay strategic, stay sovereign.